Dawn breaks over a river shrouded in mist. Boots press into damp earth, metal creaks. Somewhere, a drumbeat rolls, steady, confident, unstoppable. The air smells of smoke and summer grass, and beneath it all, the low murmur of an army so vast it seems to breathe as one. In June of 1812, the greatest force Europe had ever seen begins to move east. At its head rides a man who believes history bends to his will. Napoleon Bonaparte does not march to Moscow for glory alone. He marches to force obedience. The Russian Empire, vast and defiant, has broken with his continental system, reopening trade with Britain. To Napoleon, this is betrayal and an insult. To the world, it is a challenge to his dominance. He answers with the Grande Armée, more than 500,000 soldiers drawn from France and its satellites, a living map of Europe in uniform. Veterans of Austerlitz and Jena march beside conscripts who have never seen battle. They carry muskets and banners and certainty. The plan is simple, precise, and familiar. Advance rapidly, force a decisive engagement, shatter the Russian armies, dictate peace. Napoleon has won this way before, again and again. Speed is his ally, momentum his weapon. The Russians, he believes, will stand and fight. They do not. As the Grande Armée crosses the Niemen River, the Russians retreat, slowly, deliberately, pulling back across forests and plains, yielding ground without yielding victory. Villages are abandoned, wells are fouled, granaries burn. The land empties ahead of the French like a stage stripped bare. Summer stretches on, hot and dry, dust choking the columns. Supply lines lengthen, then fray. Horses die by the thousands. Men begin to fall out, first from exhaustion, then from hunger and disease. Napoleon presses on. Weeks pass. The distances grow unreal. Maps promise cities that never seem to arrive. The Russian commanders, Barclay de Tolly, then Kutuzov, absorb the pressure and give ground, preserving their army. Every mile east is a mile farther from France, farther from food, farther from certainty. The French win skirmishes and seize empty towns, victories without substance. The war refuses to end. At last, near the village of Borodino, the Russians turn. On a September morning, cannon thunder across rolling fields, smoke blankets the ground, earthworks erupt under shot and shell. Men charge, fall, rise, and charge again. Borodino is not a battle of maneuver, it is a collision. The French take ground by force of will and blood. The Russians resist with a grim, immovable resolve. By nightfall, the field is carpeted with the dead and dying, tens of thousands from both sides. Napoleon holds the field. The Russian army withdraws once more. It is victory, but it is not decision. A week later, the French enter Moscow. The city lies vast and silent. Palaces stand empty. Churches echo with absence. There is no delegation, no surrender, no key to the gates. That night, fires break out, first a few, then many. Flames leap from quarter to quarter, driven by wind and design. Moscow burns for days, a sea of fire consuming stores, shelter, and hope. Napoleon waits in the Kremlin, watching the glow stain the sky, waiting for a peace that does not come. It never will. Autumn tightens its grip. The nights grow cold. Food dwindles. The army that conquered Europe is trapped in a hollow victory, deep inside a hostile land, with winter approaching. Napoleon delays, still believing Alexander will yield. When the order finally comes to retreat, it comes too late. The road west is a corridor of suffering. Frost bites, snow falls early, discipline dissolves under hunger. Men eat horseflesh, then leather, then nothing at all. Columns shrink into ragged streams. Cossacks circle like shadows, striking the weak and vanishing into the white. The land that would not feed the French now freezes them. At the Berezina River, the retreat nearly ends in annihilation as ice, artillery, and panic collide. Thousands drown, thousands more are cut down as they cross. The Grande Armée is no longer an army. It is a procession of survivors. By the time the remnants stagger out of Russia, winter has claimed what battle did not. Of the force that marched east in confidence and song, only a fraction remains. Napoleon returns to Paris in silence, his aura cracked, his invincibility broken. Europe, watching closely, understands what Russia has taught at unbearable cost. The emperor can be resisted. He can be defeated. Napoleon's march to Moscow is not remembered for a single lost battle, but for a relentless unraveling, for decisions pressed too far, for distance underestimated, for nature itself becoming an enemy. It is a story of ambition meeting endurance, of strategy colliding with reality, of an empire halted not by one blow, but by cold, fire, and the refusal of a people to yield. In the end, the road to Moscow does not lead to triumph. It leads to a lesson written in ash and ice, that even the greatest power can be undone when it marches beyond the limits of men, land, and time.